Welcome back to Private Parts of Wellness. This is the first episode in our six sense series where we're exploring how each of our senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, and intuition shift with aging, sex, hormones, identity, and how these shifts shape our relationships with ourselves and others. So we're starting with sight, not just because it's the first in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding practice, but because it's the sense that we trust and distrust. Sight seems so straightforward, but it's layered with expectations, history, hormones, and memory. And speaking of seeing clearly, when I first recorded this, started to write this episode, I needed glasses and I was hemming and hawing. So this has been in the works for a long ass time. And I finally broke down and I got these glasses and you're looking at them. Shout out to the optician where I got them because it is amazing, but I'm not getting paid for that. So, if she wants to sponsor me, that's great. Anyway, but I got these red tinted glasses and they are cute. And yes, they are working where my eyes are less exhausted, but mostly they shift my perspective. Everything looks a little bit warmer, softer, a bit surreal, trippy, kind of like a filter for life. And even when I'm doing work, there's a little sexiness to it now. And I think that's just because the lenses we look through, whether you've got glasses or just, your eye lenses, cataracts, I don't know, they shape our reality more than we know. I've also reached the point in my life where borrowing somebody's reading glasses feels very oddly intimate. Sometimes even more than sex. I don't know. It's a weird thing because, I would say sometimes more than sex, but not really. Sex is definitely more intimate. But that being said, if I've worn your reading glasses, you and I are officially we're in each other's story at this point. Quick disclaimer, this podcast contains swearing, frank talk about bodies, occasional mention of bodily fluids, and again, while I am a nurse practitioner and a certified menopause provider, I am not your nurse practitioner. I am not your doctor nor your therapist. I am your hormone-savvy guide with strong opinions and zero patience for wellness cliches. Although if I say them, well, fuck it. But anyway, if you hear anything on any of my podcast episodes and think, that's it, I'm going to change my life, do not do that. Talk to your people first. So back to sight. Sight is not just about your eyes, it is also about your brain. And what do we know about the brain? The brain is the biggest, largest sex organ. The eyes absorb light, they flip the image upside down, and then your brain flips it back. But the brain doesn't stop there. It filters what you see through memories, hormones, cultural programming, fears, desires. Before you consciously recognize an image, your nervous system has already decided how to feel about it. So a fun fact is that vision is the only sense that literally requires your brain to correct the raw data before making sense. So your perception is always an interpretation. And that's a foreshadowing of our last episode, actually, in this series. But let's talk about hormones. Hormones deeply influence how you see. So, for instance, estrogen affects how your brain processes light, which explains why many women experience sensitivity or migraines at certain points of their menstrual cycle. or pregnancy or even through menopause. If you're thinking like, oh, I'm so super sensitive to the light, because you're biologically wired that way. Um, and I think that's why sight is step one in that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding method. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in the intro to this whole series, I not only talk about this grounding method, but I also walk you through it. So it anchors you back to the present by noticing the 5 things that you see without judgment or need to fix them. You gently interrupt the spirals of anxiety and remind you that you're right where you are at that moment. So back to hormones. Hormones don't just regulate your mood or your libido, they also shape how you see. So estrogen maintains tear production. Lower estrogen can lead to dry eyes and, yes, dry vaginas, same tissue, same issue. Okay. Testosterone sharpens our spatial awareness and enhances our visual sexual attraction. It helps us to notice details, movements, gestures, and why some days everything that your partner does looks deliciously sexy. Or maybe it's not even your partner, but you can be noticing somebody someplace doing the simplest things and be turned on. Progesterone can blur your vision. So, notably during pregnancy or in the second part of your cycle, eye shape can change too, by the way. But uh, uh, we won't get into that as I scratch my itchy eye. Prolactin shifts visual perception, especially after childbirth, literally changing how you see your partner or your child. So your hormones don't just color your emotions, they actively alter your perception of the world around you. So vision and sexuality have a very powerful partnership, and we can't really I won't get into it too much, but we do need to acknowledge that, you know, some of us are more visually erotic than others. And not to like get all into the binary or, limit people's experience of things, but a lot of times we will say like men are much more visual, you know, thinking about porn, than some women who might like the story. You know what I mean? Like they'd be reading Playboy for the articles where men are looking at the tits. Okay. Anyway, for others, so for some, visual cues are intensely erotic. For others, visuals mean almost nothing. So why? What, or not really why, but here's something interesting. Your pupils will dilate when aroused. So candlelight and dim lighting automatically trigger this dilation. So that's one of the reasons that people look sexier by candlelight. Blindfolds remove sight, sharpen other senses like touch, hearing, smell, and mirror play activates mirror neurons. So your brain literally feels what you watch. So latex, leather, and shiny materials also enhance visual stimulation by exaggerating every curve and movement. Although, you know what, I saw that Blake Lively in latex, and I think that was not cute. I don't know who picked that out. That shit was not sexy. Um, Okay, so here's a crazy thing. So, do you know what synesthesia is? If you watch, so my middle kid actually did a whole project on synesthesia, which is like associating colors with something. It can be colors with shapes, colors with light, numbers, colors with sound. And if you watch Love on the Spectrum, which I absolutely love that show, which lots of people love it because it's just, well, we could talk about that later. But David has synesthesia. And some people, I don't know if David does. I don't actually want to know, but maybe I'd want to know. Not personally want to know, but you see what I'm saying, right? Some people experience synesthesia during orgasm, which means that they will see color, pattern, or bursts of light. Um, and it's like your brain, when it's like in this pleasure space, it just becomes this vivid artist, and it takes you to this other place. And why again? The brain is your biggest sex organ. The other thing, kind of the concrete, boring, not sexy part, is that eyes age, right? They absolutely age. Told you about my reading glasses need. And presbyopia is the name of this aging, um, is a stiffening of lenses. It hits a lot of us around 40. And you can tell that this is happening because maybe you're like, moving the menu further, or if you were like me and a nurse, you were like trying to read that fucking vial, quick, by playing it like a trombone, or or even removing your glasses in order to see better, because your eyes, it's very interesting, even through aging, our eyes can still really be excellent microscopes for things without the glasses. So presbyopia is a real thing. Dry eyes become more common during hormonal shifts, which I've already told you, and blue light from screens can accelerate the aging of your eyes. So there's that 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. The other thing to think about with aging is that nutrition matters. So vitamin A, that's like eat your carrots, omega-3s, fatty acids. If you listen to the episode on lipids and cholesterol, I talked about fatty acids. Lutein, I can't say this word, zeaxanthin, which protects your eyes. I think you can get like a supplement, and I'm not saying to buy the supplement, but you can get like a special eye supplement, like at your local drugstore. There's also yogic practices, one that is called candle gazing, which strengthens your eyes and focus. And you can also observe what happens after your orgasm, because an after sex glow on the vision is like a real true thing. Because orgasm flood your brain with oxytocin and vasopressin, and they go ahead and temporarily soften your visual perception. So, in a sense, if you are having a headache, if there are visual disturbances with that headache, an orgasm may be exactly what you need to help you relieve the pain. All right, so back to the pause. I hope that science is helpful or interesting, or tells you a little bit of why your vision is so important. I didn't even get into birth and going through the vaginal canal and the signal to the cones and the rods and all that stuff. But I do want to leave you with this. If and when life becomes overwhelming and you're thinking 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a moment, even if you can't think of all the extra steps, and think, I'll start here, and notice the 5 things I can see around me. Don't judge them. Don't try and fix them. Just observe. Because that first step is grounding, and it brings you into the present. Sight anchors you into the immediate world, slowing anxiety and pulling your brain out of future fears and past regrets. And your eyes can be your greatest grounding allies. Your vision is changing, it's evolving, but it is not deteriorating. I don't know. That's a hard word to say, deteriorating. It's your perception that's shifting, so embrace it. If you want to keep this conversation going, please, please, please come to Discord. Check out the Menopause Anarchist. You can also book me to come and talk about all things around sex, aging, midlife, in the comfort of your own circle with the Radical Pause Salon. I do have a Substack. I'm not good at it, not at all. But Instagram, I'm there, and you can find me there too. Next episode, we're diving into skin, kink, and the science of touch. Until then, keep your eyes open or slip on your tinted glasses. Stay messy, stay curious, and take care of your private parts. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, comment, review. And if you do review and you do hit the bell or follow me in any way, let me know. Send me a screenshot and I will send you a copy of my sexy little lipid guide for you to share with your provider.